Innuendo, Book 5 of the Todd Mills Mystery Series. Author R.D. Zimmerman. Publisher Scribble Pub Press, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Narrator Eric Aust. Chapter 4. Once inside the huge house, he stood there barely breathing. But there was nothing. No one. Not as far as he could discern. Carrying nothing, he proceeded up a half-dozen steps, entered a back hall, then froze. Just up ahead, he heard running water, followed by the dull but steady sound of something striking wood. Following that, he came to a doorway and peered into a huge kitchen. Scanning the room, he saw countertops of rare blue marble, an 8-burner range, a separate high-powered wok, an enormous Sub-Zero refrigerator, and standing at a copper sink, a lone woman, wearing a baggy t-shirt and blue jeans, and with her light hair put up in a loose bun, she was chopping vegetables on a cutting board. He cleared his throat and said, "Hi, Amy." She gasped and spun around, her left hand on her chest, her right clutching a small paring knife. "Tim! Oh my God, it's you!" She took a deep breath. "You scared me." "Sorry," said Tim Chase, one of Hollywood's top stars. "Sometimes I feel like I'm sneaking around my own house. I mean, there's not one but 2 photographers out front. It's awful." "Yeah." He nodded toward the pile of vegetables next to the sink. "What are you making?" "Oh," she said, turning back to her work and collecting her thoughts. "Just finishing up some broth for tomorrow. I'm going to poach some fish. That Hawaiian fisherman I use is FedExing me some anaga and a hai he caught this afternoon. Isn't the world a wonder? He got it at 4 this afternoon, and it'll be here and fly over land by 10 tomorrow morning. I'm sure it'll be great. Are you hungry? Can I get you anything to eat?" "No, I'm all set, thanks." He glanced at the wall clock, saw that it was just about 10. "Where is everyone?" "I'm not sure where Vic is. I think he just went up to his room. Charlie's downstairs watching a movie." Vic was Tim's main bodyguard, a skilled professional who traveled with him and who organized security whenever Tim appeared publicly. Charlie was the number 2 guy, not only Tim's personal trainer, but also in charge of household security. He was hired a year ago after Gwen and Tim started having trouble with a stalker. "I think Maggie and Gwen are upstairs." "Thanks." He grabbed an apple from a bowl on the counter and started out. "If you see Vic, tell him I need to talk to him." "Sure." A moment later, she called. "Breakfast at 5 again tomorrow?" "Yep. Gotta be on the set at 6. He passed through the pantry, a long room with shelves of dishes and 2 dishwashers, then entered the dining room with its tall ceiling and mahogany paneling. Next, he stepped into the entry hall, an enormous space, nearly 20 feet wide and some 30 feet long. It was ridiculously big. This place, much more than they needed, with an indoor pool and 10 bedrooms, but the producers had just wanted to make sure Tim and his entourage were happy. And the owner, the top saleswoman for a cosmetics company, who totally rehabbed the place just several years ago, and who was now off in the Aegean, had been only too eager to lease it for $50,000 for 10 weeks. Tim just hoped to hell it wasn't a mistake, coming to the Midwest and doing this film. With a face that was too often described as all-American, rich brown hair, a lean, hard body, and a smile that could light up any room, not to mention any screen. Tim Chase was everyone's heartthrob. By everyone's count, he was one of a few truly bankable stars whose names alone, like Harrison Ford, Julia Roberts, Tom Cruise, and Mel Gibson, could open a movie. But his successful fare had always been action heroes, an underdog soccer player in one film, a DEA agent in another, a diplomat in one of his latest. Yet here he was in Minnesota shooting The Good Heart, the story of a gay man who watches not only his lover die from AIDS, but his conservative, judgmental father, from whom he has been estranged for over 10 years. It was the riskiest of roles for him. There was no doubt about it, and his agent and manager had deeply questioned whether he should play this role of a gay man. "Fuck it," he had told them all. This is an Oscar-winning role, if I've ever seen one. Besides, it's a story that should be told. But Tim, whined Jed, his agent, you know I'm as queer as a $3 bill, and I'm not sure this is good for you. What about all your fans? What about your sex appeal? You're one of the 4 or 5 most valuable franchises in Hollywood. This is not good. This is not wise. All those girls in middle America are not going to be cool with this. I'm married, Jed. I have a kid. Everyone knows that. Yeah, but, Tim, you do this and the rumors are going to start flying again. Trust me, the tabloids are going to have a heyday. Don't you see, Jed, my fans aren't going to think I'm gay because I'm playing a gay part. If anything, this is going to make them think I'm straight. And kind of gutsy. And when they're bawling their eyes out at the end of the film, they're going to love, love, love me all the more. It's your career, pal. Hey, don't forget how great Tom Hanks was in a role like this. Philadelphia was a terrific flick. Yeah, but maybe he was right. Tim now thought. Maybe it wasn't going to work. Maybe America couldn't handle Tim Chase in anything but the role of the charming hunk next door. Over the years, and with the advice of many, from his mother to his agent to numerous studios, heads to the most expensive public relations firm in the country, Tim Chase's career had been carefully carved and molded, and the secret of his appeal was no secret, but simply its breadth. Guys loved him for his virility, which women of every age loved him for his blatantly charming and sweet sex appeal. Tim knew well that it was a numbers game, that his superstar success was due, of course, to his mass appeal. But don't worry, he told himself as he reached the imposing staircase. It's going to be okay. Everything's going well. Great script, great director, great cast. Grabbing onto the carved newel post, he bounded up, taking the steps 2 at a time. As he neared the top, he heard the large and unmistakable voice of Jack, who wasn't quite 3, piercing the quiet of the house. Of course, the kid shouldn't be up this late, but Tim smiled anyway. Gwen and Jack, along with Maggie, officially the nanny, had arrived just yesterday, and Tim was more than glad for it. This house had been much too big, much too quiet without them. Stepping into the middle bedroom, the one at the front of the house and over the front door, he found them all, mother, nanny, and child, sitting on the floor, a veritable riot of multicolored Duplos scattered all around them. With a big smile, Tim asked, "Hey, is this a party or what?" "Daddy!" shouted the kid, jumping to his feet and running over. Tim scooped him up, taking the tiny kid with the angelic face into his arms and kissing him on the cheek. His son, Tim swore, was not only the best thing that had ever happened to him, but was the most gorgeous child in the universe. Blue eyes radiated from his brown face, and his dark hair was thick and rich. Nothing, absolutely nothing, gave Tim Chase the same thrill. Not Academy Award, not rave review, not legions of adoring fans, as did this boy. "Oh, I'm so glad you're here now," said Tim, snuggling Jack and kissing him. "It was so lonely without you, but what are you still doing up, Jack? Don't you know that all the other little boys in the world are already asleep? Don't you know how late it is?" He put a finger to his mouth and shook his head. No, you think it's that early?" "Yeah, it's noon." Gwen, wearing a long cotton nightgown with a floral print, pushed herself up from the floor. "What he thinks is that it's 2 hours earlier than it really is. In other words, the little charmer's not quite used to the time change yet." "Oh," Tim kissed his son again. "Listen, Jack, you know you're my favorite son, don't you?" He nodded quickly, having heard that line any number of times. "Then I want you to do exactly what I tell you, okay?" Okay. "I'm going to bed now because I have to get up very, very early to work. And I want you to go to bed now, too." But I want to play. I wanted to." "No, it's time for bed, Mr. Twister." "But," Maggie rose from the floor, saying, "How about I read you a story, Jack?" Great idea, said Tim. She came over then, eternally patient and beautiful Maggie, with the slender waist and bobbed dark hair. She wore jeans and a loose striped top, and the truth was that she'd spent more time with Tim and Gwen's son than either of them had. She'd been there right from the day he was born, caring for the child as if he were hers, and she now lifted him from Tim's arms and carried him to the bed against the far wall. Gwen brushed back a bit of hair and called, "I'll be back to give you a kiss, sweetheart." "Love you, Jack." "Love you, Daddy." With a small but warm smile, Tim stepped into the hall, followed by his wife. God, he'd hated being away from them, and dear God, he was glad they were here now. "I missed you," he said, taking his wife's hand. "Me too," she said, pulling the door shut with her free hand. She was beautiful, he thought, several inches shorter than him. Gwen was one of the most regal young actresses around, her china-like skin all set by soft brown hair. She had a small mouth, lips that were full and always plush with color, and long legs. Although her father was American, she claimed her mother's homeland, England, as her own, and in fact she had lived almost half her life there. Though she could convincingly play any kind of American, she was a natural for English roles, and just last year she'd been nominated for an Oscar for her part in a Jane Austen adaptation. Standing there in the hallway, Tim reached out, took her into his arms, and kissed her. "Hi." She came into his arms without a wisp of resistance. "We worked everything out this afternoon. We'll be able to stay for the rest of your shoot." His lips touched her forehead. "That's great. Are you okay? Is something the matter?" "No, I just need to talk to Vic, that's all." "Where'd you go earlier?" He shrugged and grinned. "Out." Eyeing him suspiciously, she said, "Tim." "It was my first time off, the first time I could get away since I got here. I just wanted to escape. So I did. I just drove around, that's all." She rolled her eyes knowingly and shook her head. "I just hope the hell you were careful." "Aren't I always?" "Yes, but what? This is a new city. The people are different here." She shrugged. "Did you take Vic with you?" "No, I didn't need to." "Oh, Tim, I don't know. Anything could happen. I just worry about you, so that's all, particularly since that creep started stalking us." "Don't worry. We're in the Midwest now, and there's nothing to be afraid of. You just have to trust me. Gwenny, believe me, I love you. I love our son. I love our life together. I'm not going to screw that up." She took a deep breath, ran her slender fingers through his hair. "Okay then, my hero." She kissed him. "Good night." "I love you. I love you too. Will I see you for breakfast?" "I think I need to sleep. How about Maggie, Jack, and I drop by the set sometime late morning?" As he headed off, knowing he had to find Vic before going to bed, Tim Chase said, "Sounds great." Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold: to offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides, and in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.